PT. Good to see everybody here today. I have a success story here today, which I always love to bring to you guys. I have Brittany on the line. Brittany, how you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, Jim.
Yeah, we were just talking off air and how, and I've talked to you before in the past and yeah, how empowering these stories are and how helpful they are to people who are struggling and starting their journey or going through their journey. So I'm looking forward to you sharing it. So I'm going to turn it over to you to share your story.
Thanks so much. I started my journey roughly 4 years ago and 3.5, 4 years ago. And it started in early 2022. However, prior to that, I didn't realize in 2021 and 2020 that my responses to my environment would ultimately end me up where I was in 2022. So in 2022, early on, I was at my uncle's wedding, and this was in Mexico, and we were on a remote island. We had taken a boat out to a remote island for basically like an acrobatic show. It was kind of like a Mexican cirque. And I was on the boat with two of my girls. I have three young children and my husband, and one of them I had left back on the mainland with my my aunt. And so I had my two older girls and my husband, and we were on this boat going out to the island. And as I was sitting there, I started to notice some real unfamiliar feelings in my body. Just, oh, gosh, I'm feeling this like real disturbance and unease. But I didn't think much of it because there wasn't I just didn't think much of it until I got off the boat and I was about 2 minutes into my walk on the island. And all of a sudden, I lost my breath. My whole body tensed up. I grabbed my husband and I said, I can't breathe. Like something is terribly wrong. My body's shutting down. I think I'm dying or I'm having a heart
Mm.
attack or something. And this was so familiar to me because keep in mind, my entire life leading up to this, I had never had an unusual symptom in my life other than the common cold. And so to have something this abrupt and this foreign to me was very scary. And so with this sensation in my body, my husband said, I think you're having a panic attack or an anxiety attack. You need to take a deep breath and calm down. So of course that didn't help, right? It's like you don't know what you're talking about. And I started going a different direction. And I just grabbed one of my daughters. He took the other one, and I just went off to where there was no people, no nothing, and wanted to find some stillness and some space. And I just sat with my daughter and I just said, I need you to breathe with me. And she did. And she actually helped calm me down. And sure enough, within a matter of it felt like a year, but within a matter of minutes, my body started to settle back down. And I was able to resume back to my family and the event that was taking place. But keep in mind, during this time, my body was still not to where it needed to be. I
You
still
were
had to
still
just
feeling some things, but it wasn't back to just this normal resting state.
Right, right. Yes, it was very yeah, there was a disturbance going on still, but I could breathe and I had a little bit more control. And so I sat and I just tried to focus on the show and other things outside of my body, trying to almost suppress this emotion or run from it. And I was just trying to get rid of it in any way that I could. And then after that, things were fine. Couple fast forward a couple weeks, and I'm putting my daughter to bed at home back in the US. And as I'm laying her in her crib, she was 1 years old at the time. I started to feel this like rush of tingling from my head all the way down to my neck. And once again, I'm like, not this is not normal. What is happening? And then it started to turn into like a numbness, a tingling and a numbness. And I got my husband and I'm freaking out. And I'm like, something's terribly wrong. Like there is a sensation in my body I cannot quite understand. And he said, you're probably just overwhelmed or stressed because I was. Keep in mind at this time, and I think I speak to a lot of listeners and a lot of the people that come to you, Jim. We are all of this is a result of our stressful environments and possibly childhoods and surroundings and the way that we're responding to them and not tending to them in these moments the correct way. And we're just trying to run from it. And so, mind you, during this time, my mom had just been diagnosed with cancer. We were unsure of the results, and so there was a lot of stress in my body from that. We had just gotten home from that a very long trip. My wedding ring was stolen.
Mm.
I'm trying to take care of three young girls and run a business where I was working 12 to 16 hours a day. And so I was at my max. I was at my peak. And I thought that you could live in this life and do all those things without taking care of yourself, apparently. And so I was running at full pace, and I was very much a perfectionist. Um, type A. And so things had to be just so outside of me. And I was never listening to my inwardly. And so when these sensations took place that night, I woke up the next morning and it turned into severe jaw tightness. Almost felt like somebody punched me in both sides of my face. It was very intense. Then my neck was very stiff. I could barely move it. I just felt like I was in a neck brace, and it was restricting me. And and then I still had the tingling and the numbness. And so I took myself to the doctor. And with that diagnosis, of course, everything's normal. Everything's fine. Everything checks out. You're totally normal, Brittni. It just sounds like oh, they asked me, they said, have you been doing anything differently? And I said, well, I did try Botox twice. And this is for any of your clients that have ever tried Botox. I let them know I tried Botox twice. And the first time, no reaction. Second time, here I am. But this was like 2.5 weeks after the Botox. And she goes, oh, well, I think you might have botulism. And so I'm like, oh, fantastic. So here's my first diagnosis, by the way. And so now I'm battling with, wow, I just gave myself botulism, and I had no idea this was a thing. Um, and so now I'm battling with this fear, this overwhelming fear that I'm going to die from this botulism. And and then fast forward, I'm each doctor that hears this from the doctor that I initially went to, now they're playing into the botulism.
Mm.
Well, turns out they believe that within 6 months this goes away. Well, over the course of these months that were taking place, I joined groups out there on different platforms, whether it was the Botox poisoning website
Mm.
or the mold poisoning website or fibromyalgia or what have you. All these random diagnoses that people get over a period of time, and then they chase, hopefully, these platforms trying to find any sort of relief or answers. And when I'm on these platforms, I'm getting worse because now I'm listening to all their symptoms. Oh, well, if you have botulism, this is what comes next. This is what I'm feeling. If you have mold poisoning, this is what comes next. So now internally, I am creating
There's a
all of these
nocebo
pain
effect.
symptoms.
Yeah,
Yes.
you
Oh,
had like
total
you got
placebo.
nocebo first by the doctor. Probably would have went
Yep.
away if you could have just got to your daughter again and said, let's just breathe, right? But this is you're giving a great
hmm
example of how this thing can start to spread. Then the groups, which
hmm
are also nocebo groups, really everybody's talking about bad things not getting better, right? Worse symptoms. Yeah, so I can see where this is going.
Yes, that's exactly right, Jim. And I wish that I would have had a sound, rational doctor that could have just sat down with me and said, Brittni, I really think, okay, I'm looking here. You just found out your mom had cancer. Your wedding ring was stolen. You're working 12 hours a day, and you have three daughters that you're trying to raise. I think that it's time for you to take a break. And I wish that somebody would have told me that because that would have been really helpful. But instead, here I am wiring my brain the wrong way. And I'm starting to neuroplastically ingrain all these symptoms in my body that are totally unnecessary. And without getting too far into it, I went to over 20 doctors nationwide. I spent, I don't even want to tell you how much money, going through scans, blood testing, hair testing. I went to a series of MDs that were Western medicine, functional medicine, naturopathic, kinesiologists, chiropractors, therapists. I mean, you name it. I saw everyone under the sun. I took every test that was attainable, and still everyone was pinpointing botulism, or they
Yeah, I
were
was going to ask you
saying
how many of those number of doctors actually mentioned this could be stress related. Did any of them?
none.
None.
Not, not one, not one.
Incredible.
Um, and oh, it's just looking back, I'm just so disappointed. And so here I am, I have these false, just random, like let's throw a noodle at the wall and see if it sticks type of diagnosis. So I came out with botulism with most fibromyalgia, mold poisoning, parasites, Lyme, um, what else? Oh, chronic migraines, and oh, what's the one symptom that a lot of people get where they have the shooting pains in their face?
A burning mouth or trigeminal neuralgia?
Yes, trigeminal neuralgia was another one. I mean, they gave me a whole platter. Like,
Yeah,
which
you
one do I
just got
want? I
again
mean, and you just get to
diagnosed to the
pick.
tilt. It's incredible. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, how do you think it feels to have all these diagnoses? You're not going to feel very good, are
Uh,
you?
well, I was on every platform on Facebook, so they all knew me really well because I was on every single one of those. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? But here's what I noticed, because my symptoms, and I'll just give you an idea of how many symptoms I had and generally like what they look like. Um, I had over 45 symptoms. Okay. I stopped counting at 45 because at this point I was so cripplingly depressed. I could no longer count anymore or try to identify because it wasn't even worth my time. And so I would say that the main symptoms that I experienced, that just come top of mind to me, was everything head related. So from migraines, head pressure, or head pains, shooting pains, electric shocks, all in my face, jaw pain, tooth pain, ear pressure, neck pain, back pain. My vision was, and I have like eagle vision. I have very, very good vision. I got all of my testing done, but yet I couldn't see. I couldn't, like, everything was blurry. It was all disturbed. It was
That's a
bouncy. It
common
was
one that I see
fuzzy.
a lot that a lot of people don't realize their
Hmm.
vision. Almost some people have blurred vision. They can have floaters. They can feel like they're going blind. I've had
Hmm.
some people
Yeah.
not being able to see.
100%. The vision was a big one, and that was a very scary one. I had rashes, I had allergies that were just cropping up, like sensitivities to everything. I started to break out into cystic acne, like all over my face. It was so terrible. I had vertigo, tremors, muscle weakness, insomnia, chest tichtness, heart palpitations. I mean, you name it. And then all of these symptoms turned into crippling anxiety to the point where I couldn't even go to the grocery store. I couldn't leave. I would have a hard time leaving my bedroom just to see my children because I was so anxious. I didn't even want to be around them because I couldn't handle it. It was
Yeah. Your
so
anxiety,
hard
which
for
is
me.
what, started this, it sounds like there's no one even diagnosed that in the beginning, got out of control, right? The symptoms did. And then what comes with that is this right high level you were living at, right? Intense anxiety. Maybe share with the listeners what that was like. What did that feel like inside you to live with that at that time?
Oh my gosh. I think the anxiety and the depression were the absolute worst. The anxiety, it was different from the definitely different from the depression. So the anxiety, it was suffocating. I felt like somebody was holding my head underwater. I couldn't breathe. I just wanted out of my body. I wanted to jump out. I just was like, somebody pull me out of my skin because I can't even function as just a normal human being. If I left my bedroom, it was hard. Like I said, there was definitely no way I was leaving my house. If I left my house, my husband had to come with me.
Mm.
And it being in a social setting, forget it. I probably would have been in the ER because I would have had a panic attack or a heart attack or something of that nature.
Wow. So you were really
Anxiety.
limited at that point to your home. You were stuck in your
Hmm.
house.
Hmm.
Symptoms were severe, as you were saying. High anxiety, depression, right, was ensuing as well, right? Because you weren't
Hmm.
doing anything. And yeah, what was that like with the depression?
Well, the depression was, it was so awful. I mean, the anxiety was already awful. All the symptoms were awful. But like I said, the anxiety and the depression came from my symptoms
Yeah.
because I didn't have answers, I didn't have hope, I didn't have anything to look for that gave me light at the end of the tunnel. So my body just took me to the deepest, darkest place imaginable. I mean, to the point where my thoughts were so intrusive and so scary, I didn't even recognize that person. I would tell my husband, I'm scared of myself. Like I don't know who's talking to me, what they're saying. Um, and it's hard to not get emotional when you talk about depression because I think it is an incredibly difficult journey. In fact, one of the most difficult journeys you'll ever walk. It Let's just say this. I never understood why people took their life until I was depressed. And I wasn't just like, oh, melancholy, having a hard day. I wasn't just, oh, it's been a rough week or I'm feeling down. I mean, it feels like a dark cloud. This was like a demon. It was something that was so much bigger than me, so incredibly dark and deep that it it felt so far from reach to get out of. You just you didn't recognize your surroundings, you didn't recognize yourself. Nothing was worth living for. Everything became like almost like you were placed in like a movie and everything's happening around you, but like they don't see you, they don't hear you, they don't understand you. And so I will say that the depression is the most important out of all of these symptoms to get help for because it's what will take your life. And the
Yeah.
hard part is that all these symptoms that you get are what lead you to that depression because you don't have hope, you don't have answers.
That's it. And I just want to pause for a minute. Just a couple of big things is just how this can morph, right? You're sharing a story, it's personal to you, happened to you. And I see this in other people where it can start out from just probably some anxiety and stress. You had a lot of stress in your life at the time and literally morph into this thing you're just talking about for no reason other than it getting worse and getting worse because of misdiagnoses and failed treatments and more symptoms and it just leading you into this place, right? There wasn't other real reason other than these symptoms just pushing you further and further down into this hole. But it's very real, like you're saying, this depression is real, the anxiety is real, and it feels like you said, you're being suffocated with anxiety, and that there's no way out with the depression. And so I think people to hear that it's like really powerful that, but as you're going to share, right, there is a way out, but at the time it didn't seem like it.
Hmm. Exactly. Yeah, that's 100%. The depression part of it worries me for people who are battling that particular symptom because if you don't get the proper help and you don't understand how to first get help just to be able to, I would say, put a little bit of a veil over what's happening and then deal with the root. and get to the main cause of what's happening. How can I heal this like 100% to the point where when I stop taking my medication, um, how am I going to feel? What's going to come up? And for me, um, right around 9 months of dealing with what I was dealing with depression, anxiety, and all of my symptoms, I finally told my husband, I'm like, I need something. I need something to take these thoughts away because if they don't, I'm really worried for what's going to happen.
At that
And
time, were you doing any treatments at all? What were you doing at the time?
no, I was doing nothing. I was given a whole bucket full of pills from doctors, Western medicine. It's good to note that through this process, a lot of the treatments that I was given were number one, tons of narcotics. So I can't even list them off to you because I still have a whole bucket full. I don't even know what to do with them. They're in my pantry. And of course, none of them worked. They just added more symptoms. They just made things just awful. So I had narcotics, tons of them, plus medications that they felt were going to work for me. I went through surgeries. I was on every naturopathic tincture, vitamin diet. I went from keto to vegetarian to vegan. I stopped drinking alcohol for an entire year and coffee. And it made me, all of this just made me more sick.
Hmm.
And the conclusion to that, looking back, was because when we're trying to when we're trying to look for things in our external environment to heal us, we're not going to heal because we don't understand first and foremost that the reason why we're in this position is because of what's inside, not what's outside. And so I was trying to chase all these different remedies, get all these tangible things that were going to fix me. And the other part of this was I wanted to just fix it. I wanted to change it. I wanted it to heal. And in the midst of that, we don't realize that subconsciously we're stressed. We're incredibly stressed over all these things like, oh, did I take the right amount of vitamins today? Oh, no, did I miss my pill? Did I miss my yoga session? Did I miss this? Did I miss that? Or
It
was
just
I
adds
on
more
point?
stress, right? You were already stressed
Yes.
from life, and this stress gets even worse, right? Because of all the treatments.
hmm And so that's where I was. I was just out of loss where I was trying to throw, all these things together in hopes that it was going to heal me. And in turn, and subconsciously, it made me worse because I was so incredibly overwhelmed and stressed by all these external supposed solutions that were going to heal me. And nothing was working. In fact, it was going the opposite direction.
Yeah.
So that's where I ended
That
up with
was your
all of these
bottom. And then so
treatments.
what happened then? So you said you finally talked to your husband, you said, I need something to help me
hmm
here. So maybe start from
hmm
there.
So this is when I decided to advocate for myself versus a doctor telling me what I needed. And I had just this awakening moment where I'm just like, gosh, maybe I just need to get on like an anxiety medication or an antidepressant, like something to help with my mindset. And so I went to the doctor and I said, look, I don't know what you recommend, but I would like something to help with these intrusive thoughts that I'm having. And so they suggested that I get on Zoloft. So I was on a low dose of Zoloft, and I will tell you that this is right when I got on the Zoloft is when I first discovered this mind-body connection and understanding that I was the source of all of my illness, and I was also the solution to all of my illness. So once I realized this, I put in the practice, I put in the work, and I said, I'm going to get on the Zoloft so I can get clarity of the mind and I can actually truly just hit the ground running and do what I need to do to heal. And so I got on the Zoloft, and within, a matter of a couple weeks, I started to notice the intrusive thoughts just kind of clearing my mind, which was really good. That's what I needed. All my symptoms were still there. My anxiety was still through the roof, but my depression was balanced. It was balanced enough where I could function to put in the work. And when I got to this level, I realized that I needed to time off work from take a little extra time just for myself and just really truly study neuroscience, neuroplasticity, epigenetics. I mean, the whole thing. And so I took several months off work just reading and studying and listening and actually practicing. And I created a new daily routine that was completely different from what I had been doing every single day. I decided to take all of my medications, except for the Zoloft, all of my diets, all of my tinctures, all of my protein powders, all of my everything,
Yeah.
and put it in a big bucket, seal up the bag, or a trash bag, seal up the bag, put it away for maybe a rainy day when I want to take a vitamin C. And I said, I'm using nothing. I am just going to work from the inside out. I don't need
That was a
anything
big
else
moment for
stressing
you,
me out.
defining
Oh, it was
moment,
huge.
right? A big shift.
It was really, it, I don't even know what came over me at this moment, but I was ready. I was so ready and I was so done with all of the industries out there telling me that I need to take this, I need to take that, I'm not doing enough this, I have heavy metal poisoning, I have parasites, I have toxicity of the body, I have botulism. Well, turns out for anyone who's listening, I did not have botulism if you haven't caught on. I
Yeah.
didn't have any of the things that they told me I had. They were just giving me those diagnoses because they felt, oh, maybe she just needs something to leave with to make her feel better.
Well, that's what doctors are
Um,
trained in. We're all trained, even me. You give
mhm.
a diagnosis and you're looking for evidence, but again, they do not include any psychosocial evidence, psychological evidence. It's all structural. Like you said, not
Mhm.
one doctor, not one practitioner went into the stress side. They're all just coming from their learning, and that's our problem. So you're given these diagnoses, but that first diagnosis you got was the beginning of the downward spiral, wasn't it, for you?
Oh my gosh. If somebody would have not given me that and maybe just said, you have chronic migraines, I think I would have been a lot better off. But it was the whole botulism thing that really sent me over the edge because there was nothing I could do about it. It was in my body. Like, what was I going to do? Extract it from my bloodstream? There was no way.
Yeah.
So I just had to wait it out. And thankfully, I had a family member who was a neurologist, and he's like, Brittni, I've actually worked with patients with botulism, but it's because they consumed it and not because they were injected. And he said those are actually given for, a lot of, medical remedies. Um, and he said, if anything, it's going to leave your body in 6 months at the most. And sure enough, it was never that. It was never that. And it's just a shame that I was told that for so many months,
Mhm.
and to the point where I made myself so incredibly sick over it because I started reading all these stories about people who claimed they had botulism, which they didn't either. They were just going through what I was going through. What I did conclude with all these websites, Jim, that I was on, all these platforms on Facebook, the mold illness platform, the fibromyalgia platform, the Lyme disease platform, all these platforms, what I concluded and analyzed was they're all suffering from the same thing. They all have the same symptoms. And I'm thinking, wait a second, like, why do all these people have similar situations that they're going through, like with their panic attacks, their head issues, their back issues, their gut issues, their heart issues, their everything issues? Like, they all had very similar situations. And mind you, not one of us has the same journey, the same path that we're walking in terms of symptoms, but the way that it happens and the way that it just kind of comes together is is every indication that we're all dealing with an imbalance in the system, but it's going to show itself in different ways. Like just like every birth story is different, every medical or mental journey and mind body journey is going to be different because not one of us respond to our environment the same, right? We
That's
all
right.
are very different.
Yeah, and you have various different symptoms too, and different reasons, right? But essentially, it all relates to stress in the system coming out in these ways. So it's just incredible. So let's get back. So you were started, you said as you changed your routine, your daily routine, you started. So take us through that. You started to shift how you approached each day in a different way.
Mhm. So generally my routine was, or what my day looked like in the beginning is I'd get up, I'd worry, I'd stress, I'd fear, I would dread the day. I'd get my kids ready for school and then really just get right to work. And then just start working the whole day and work myself crazy and then get my kids home, extracurriculars, dinner, and then the whole routine over again. Well, that sounds like a typical day for an American that has kids, right? And works a job, 9 to 5 or self-employed. It's just repetitive, it's redundant, it's sluggish, and it's depressing. Really, it's depressing. And
True.
out of all the books I read, all the studies that I did, well, here I'll just get to how my new routine first and why what helped me shift into it was n- I told myself after all of my studies, I said, I am going to completely change my routine. Even if I have to do it little by little, I'm going to be completely different when I come out of this. So instead in the morning when I'd get up, I would do a very easy short breath exercise 30 seconds to a minute. Just breathe in, breathe out, feel my body, know that I'm there, be thankful, be grateful that I'm alive, that I have another day on this earth. And I would thank God because I am a person of faith and that was part of my journey that that I am healed. I would thank God, thank you so much for healing me. Even though I wasn't healed, I still had my symptoms in the morning. I would feel as if I was healed and I would go about my day as if I was healed
This
because
is massive right now, everybody. This is a ding of the bell, massive that you were shifting your belief, right? That you were healed, right? Even though you weren't yet, but you're shifting your belief, you're healed. This is massive. Your belief is number one, I tell people. Because then off of that, you can build these other things. Like then you start to go about your day, right? This as if you were okay. Talk more about that. It's really powerful.
so I got into this mindset of not only do I need to believe that I'm healed, I need to practice that I'm healed and and just be in an environment as if it's already done, regardless of how I feel. And so I started practicing this, and it's not easy in the beginning because your sensations will distract you and they will make you try and go back to that old habit of, oh no, no, we're not getting better. This is it. Like you're broken. You're not going to heal. This is your life forever. So instead, when those mindsets would come up, those distracted thoughts, I would tell myself, wait a second, every thought that comes in my mind is generally not even true. It's just a suggestion. And I don't have to accept that suggestion. And I didn't. I just said, well, thank you for that suggestion, but that's actually not what is happening here. And it's not what is going to happen
I
because
love
I
it.
get
I
to choose
love your
that.
just calling him out, catching these thoughts. I call these NATs, negative automatic thoughts. They're not real. They're suggestions. Yeah, they're just
Mhm.
electrical signals telling you something, and you chose not to believe them, basically, right? And you say,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, thanks for letting me know. But you
Yeah.
didn't buy into them, it sounds like you shifted into something else.
Yes. Yes. I didn't buy into it because I read an article where it said Our thoughts are just a sum of our experiences. They're not actually true. It's just how we have programmed the mind to think and believe and feel, but we can change it just as easy as we put it there. So I said, okay, well, I'm just going to reprogram myself. So why not? Let's have fun with this. Let's make it a fun thing because life is fun and it's funny, and let's just go for it. So when I'd wake up in the morning, my instinct would be to choose all the negative emotions. Instead, I chose to be optimistic, happy, joyful, grateful that the day has started and that I get to choose what comes next. And so I would go about my day practicing this, even with my kids. Mom, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm feeling so good today. It's going to be such a
Yeah.
great day for mom. Like, and then they started, like, I could even see to my kids how much it was changing them and their environment because they saw that mom was doing great. And the more I talked positively to others, like if they'd ask me, "Oh, how's your day?" "Oh, it's fantastic. I'm getting a lot done today. It's been so good. I'm feeling great." And I would speak out to the world and to myself exactly what I wanted to achieve,
That's
even
amazing.
if it
Yeah, it's all
wasn't
all
the truth.
positive, right? Because you, like you said, you're reprogramming your brain out of some severe negativity. Remember, you were down into these intrusive thoughts. You were despair, anxiety-driven thoughts, catastrophic thoughts, right? Just like, hey, end your life thoughts. And here you are switching this around and creating. And I tell everybody the same thing. You have to create these thoughts, right? They're not going to jump into your brain automatically, right? So you actually had to create them for a period of time,
Mhm.
right? To generate
I
them.
did. I did. And it's normal for these thoughts to feel uncomfortable and unfamiliar because they're not part of your routine. They're not what you're used to. But your thoughts are not you. You have to remember that. They are not you. Your conscious mind is you. And your conscious mind is the one that determines if you want to play into this thought or that thought. And so I had the choice and I had the will, the free will to decide.
That's big too,
And
your will
so,
and your choice and your conscious mind. I tell everybody our conscious mind is teaching our unconscious mind that we're fine. That's the whole purpose of all this work. And yeah, it's
yes.
called cortical control actually in the research that you started to take some control of your brain in a way.
Yes, absolutely. I did. I was definitely taking control of that and it felt really great. But like I said, it's a very uncomfortable feeling. But one thing about discomfort in this journey is that it pops up a lot. And it's because we're just not used to it. We want to fall back into what we know, what's familiar, and what is part of our program because it's almost like an addiction. It's like it's pulling us back to that familiar place because that's where we feel comfort, we feel secure. But the reality is, and the objective matter here is that if we do not step into that discomfort and sit there for a little bit and actually practice being there, we will never break a habit. We will never heal. We will never change. We will never shift and or reprogram. And
Mhm.
so, and what I say, what I mean by uncomfortable, because I've been asked the question, well, would you just jump into an ocean full of sharks? And I said, no, I wouldn't because that's just dumb. That's reckless. That's dangerous. I'm not
Right.
asking you to do anything dangerous. I'm asking you to be in discomfort, but you're safe. You're totally safe. In fact, it's the best thing you could do for yourself. So don't insert yourself or inject yourself into a dangerous situation of discomfort. Put yourself into a situation of discomfort that you know is best for you.
Yeah.
And even if you don't know what's best for you, you know it's not dangerous.
Yeah,
And
that's the
so
key,
you
right?
can do
Because the
that.
discomfort comes, the symptoms come, or the reactions come, right, from your brain. But you know, right, in your conscious mind that it's not truly dangerous. It's right, it's just this reaction. So you're able to work with it in a different way, right? Versus, oh my God, this is the end of the world, or oh no, what if, right? You're getting into those anxious thoughts. So you were able to kind of put yourself there, right, and stay in your right mindset, it sounds like, and understanding what was going on.
Yes, yes, I was. But it's a practice. It's totally a practice. And um when there would be moments throughout my entire day, every second of the day, where I wanted to be pulled right back in to my past self. And in the Bible, which I'm just going to go ahead and quote it here because it's a very important verse in the Bible, that you must die to be reborn. And what that means is the old self has to die for the new self to be alive. And that new self is your best self. It's the self that's truly intended for you and your purpose on this earth. And that's the self that you want to become, because our old self is just a mirror image of our traumas, of our past, of things that we were totally unaware of before we had these tools, before we had these resources to be our best self. And I think this speaks for every single person on the planet, not just the people that are consciously suffering at this point in time.
Yeah,
Um,
we all have our learned patterns you mentioned in programs, and what we live through is determines how we become, and then we become robotic. Our unconscious just spits it back out again, right? So and we just mostly accept that. But like you said, a lot of it's not true. A lot of it's just learned, and like what happened with you, you were given information with that first diagnosis, and all the other things, they all got into your brain and got into this made a program in there, right? That you're broken,
mhm,
you're damaged, you had 45 plus diagnoses of symptoms. Your
yeah.
life is over. And it just
Mhm.
wasn't true.
It wasn't true at all. And even when I was given an answer or a supposed answer, suggestion, speculation, guess by a doctor that was, you know, I know that they were doing their best with what they had, but unfortunately, Western medicine, they're not trained in this department. This isn't what they do. They're meant to save lives, perform surgery, and deal with structural issues. This is something much deeper than that, and this isn't for Western medicine. And I learned that unfortunately the hard way, but I've learned that now that Western medicine has its time and place. They're brilliant, they're brilliant scholars, practitioners, and everything, but this is not their field. It's just not.
No,
Um,
you're dead right. So you started doing this, you started shifting basically who you were, you started shifting your self-talk, the way you thought about yourself, you started believing you were fine, you started acting like you were fine. So what did you start to do? Did you start to go back to life again in more of a normal way too?
yes.
You
In
could?
fact, one of the mantras that I live by was, in order to heal, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna rephrase that. Don't wait to enjoy, or don't wait to heal to enjoy life. Enjoy life to heal.
Hmm.
And that stuck with me because I was always telling everyone around me, whether it was my family, my friends, my coworkers, whatever it was, oh, no, 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 I'll do it later. I'm not feeling good. Like today's not a good day. Well, I had been saying that for over a year because I was miserable. So I was shutting everyone out, putting it off because I didn't think I was capable. Like going out and just even being with my kids, like going fishing or hiking or going for a bike ride. No, no, mom's not well. I need to heal first. I'm working on that. And sure enough, I'm like a broken record saying this. And then when I read that, I'm like, oh my gosh, if I just go out on that bike ride with my kids and watch them and all their joy, I'm going to be joyful. And so I submerged myself in an ocean of joy. Everything that I loved, whether I felt I was capable of doing it or not, I did it. I said, we're going on the trip. We're going on the bike ride. We're going camping. We're going for a run. Like we're going for a hike. Let's and I stayed
You
busy.
said yes to life.
Everything.
And regardless of
Everything.
so this is a really important point to everybody listening. This is your behavioral side. You get back to life. You had symptoms, I imagine some at the time, but you still were
All of
doing
them.
it. Yeah.
I had
You
all my
didn't stop.
symptoms.
Yeah, you had this is so
Mm-mm.
important, everybody listening. Everybody wants to say, when my symptoms go away, I will go back to this and I'll do this, but not now. I can't. I'm not ready. It's too dangerous. It's too much. And you're telling everybody that you went back regardless.
I
Yes.
did. I did because I truly believed that message that if I want to heal, my body has to feel joy. It has to feel happiness, gratitude, love, because those are all the healing emotions of the body.
Yeah.
And if I don't feel those, my body is not going to feel safe. And that's how you project safety in the body, is to have those emotions and have them as much as possible. And don't just pretend to enjoy the moment. Actually pick something. Is it eating the piece of cheesecake that's going to make you happy? Great. Go eat the piece of cheesecake. Is it going to be, going shopping for the day if that makes you happy, or going to get an extra large coffee instead of the small coffee because you felt like the extra large was too much for you. Like whatever it is that brings you joy, go do it and be happy with it. And you know what didn't bring me joy? All the tinctures and the supplements and all the medications, a bucket of medications and the diets. And oh my gosh, I was vegan. Sorry to those if you're vegan, but I am not a vegan.
Yeah.
I like red meat. I eat a lot of red meat, and I was told that I probably should stop, but I'm not going to because I love it and I feel super healthy. So, yeah, I
Interesting.
just you have to live in joy. You have to live in happiness.
So with the symptoms, just for everybody listening, it's amazing what you're saying in this because it's proving how you can get better. You were going back to life. You were already getting positive self-talk. You were looking for joy, right? Trying to find meaning and passion and fun in life. And then the symptoms are here still. So what do you do with them? Did you focus on them or did you try to put your attention off of them or what were you doing? Because they were still present at the time you were still recovering.
That's a really good question. And that was one that I looked at myself when I was going through this. When a symptom would present itself, normally the one that was most noticeable was the most intense. And what I would do, I did actually a number of things. If it was happening, let's just say in the midst of me fishing with my family. If it was happening then and I couldn't really find a place to do my normal work, then what I would do is I would say, "Oh, here it is. Here's my symptom. No big deal. It's just I'm feeling a little bit of tightness. It's okay. It's giving me a hug. It's totally fine. It's temporary and it's going to pass." And I'm totally safe right now. I'm fishing with my family, having so much fun. My kids are laughing. My husband and I are enjoying each other. Like, what an awesome day. Like, and I'm just talking to myself as if I'm almost a child, like I'm my younger self. And I
Yeah.
like to get into the inner child work a lot because you need to talk to yourself with grace and with gentleness, because that's what your body needs right now. It needs somebody, it needs almost like a supervisor, a protector, somebody loving to talk to. And so I would just pretend as if I'm my younger self or I'm talking to my child, and hey, it's okay, Britt. Like,
Yeah.
life is, this is just temporary. We're just having a moment. But I actually really liked when my symptoms presented themselves because it was my opportunity.
Yeah,
If I
that's
didn't get
right.
a symptom, I didn't have an opportunity to
That's
change.
that's such again, there's your thinking positively again, because people think it's a problem. And I say the same thing, hey, there's an opportunity to heal still. It means you have a little more healing to go through. It's a chance for you to do something in a good way. And you're really highlighting the self-talk, but also the self-compassion, right? And you were talking to your inner child, which is a very powerful way. I always say talk to yourself in the third person because the research supports that too. Hey, Brett, use your name. Hey, little
Hmm.
bit, like you're talking to yourself like you're a parent or a guardian or a teacher. Yes, that's exactly what we want to do.
Yeah, no, it works so much. And you're not going to yell at your younger self. You're not going to yell at a kid in the moment when they're feeling this sadness, or they're feeling a pain or a sensation. You're going to want to care for them. And so you become very compassionate in that moment. And so that's what I would do if I was surrounded by people or in the moment of enjoyment. Now, if I was alone, and I did do these practices daily, and I have a whole daily practice that I do now that's kept me completely healed. But at the time, I would do a couple different ones. Number one of my favorite practices was being able to do something you enjoy. So for me at the time, it was fitness. I loved to work out, whether it was yoga, I mean, any type of fitness. I just liked being active. And when I would do that, my symptoms were mild or moderate or gone. Okay. So the whole point of this practice is that when you're doing something you truly love, whether it's traveling, fitness, fishing, hunting, whatever you do that brings you joy, pay attention to what your symptoms are doing. Are they less? Are they changing? Are they gone? Or are they just so barely there? And or are they just different? And if you pay attention to those symptoms during that time, or even after you want to analyze after you're done with whatever you're doing that you're enjoying, if you notice that they change at all in severity or in sensation or any or movement, that means that this is entirely neuroplastic. Because if there was something structurally happening, it would be in the same place with the same pain for the same length of time. There would be no change. So if you broke your arm, it's not going to move to your back. It's going
Yeah.
to be in your arm.
Right. So you kind of use the evidence there, right, to prove to yourself and remind yourself, right, this is neuroplastic, right, which is helpful. Like say, okay, let's not get too worked up about this or worried about this. So yeah, you did talking about some amazing stuff. And I remember I saw you for, was it one? I can't remember how many sessions. It wasn't too many. We met maybe a couple sessions, I think. And you kind of took this stuff and you did a lot of other work on your own. And what else? Anything else? I know for time's sake here, just what was there other things that you were doing that you want to share with the audience? Were these the main core things you feel that helped you get back to where you are now?
So that was just a test. The other one, I would encourage anyone listening to look up somatic tracking. I was doing somatic tracking meditations, which I'm sure you chat with them about, Jim, and just following the sensation as an observer to just watch it, be with it. It's okay. And then my biggest source of healing, without a doubt, is meditation. I get up every single morning. I don't miss a meditation because that is my time to set my day, to set my mind, to set my heart, to set my goals. And there is something about being still with yourself, with your soul, not with your mind, but with your soul, and resetting and knowing where you want to be and how you want to feel and really creating your destiny. And from there, when you get up from meditation, it doesn't mean you go back to your normal routines. It means you need to set forth that practice,
Yeah,
actually live in that meditation.
that's so
And
important what you're saying now. Yeah.
yes, be conscious of your subconscious and be conscious of your response to everything around you. How am I responding to my coworker? How am I responding to the way they just talked to me? How am I responding to the way my husband just talked to me? Am I just letting it all just sit in my gut and fester? Or am I understanding that life is just funny. It's just a funny thing, and emotions are energy. They go in and they go out. But if they come in, we can push them down and we can keep them stuck. And we don't want to do that. We want to let them flow through us like energy. Um, because that's all they are. That's all they are. But we play into it so much and we get caught up in our mind and our thoughts.
Yeah. So
And
what
one
did
thing
you
I
do
will
with
say about
emotions? You're exactly right. Emotions are neutral. They're not, good or bad. We all have them. So if you treat them, they are energy. How did you deal with emotions? Was it through meditation? Did you do, just for the audience, did you do any of the traditional practices like journaling, or did you not do that? Or did you do it more through your somatic practice, or how were you dealing with emotions?
so emotions, and I will say, Jim, you helped me the most with emotions because I went through a handful of therapists before you, and they were all not even close to what I was looking for. And when I came to you, you actually helped me because I was having a hard time understanding how to deal with my emotions. And um, I remember you sitting with me and I was just bawling my eyes out, just letting it all come up, and you were just allowing it to all come up and telling me to just be okay with it, to just allow all of this to come up because I had suppressed it for so long. I had pushed down this sadness and this hurt and this pain. And when you told me to almost just observe it and just be with it and allow it, I kept that in my mind. And I realized that when emotions come up, the last thing you want to do is judge them or chase them or try and fix them. Just let them be. They're there for a reason. Let them be the conscious mind watching the emotion.
Yeah.
Just look,
Oops, my earbud fell out.
Yeah. Be the conscious mind watching the emotion. That's a powerful statement. Like be the
yes.
observer of the emotion. Don't be the emo, don't become the emotion.
Yes, don't become the emotion. Don't get involved with it. Just watch it. It's doing its thing and you don't have to get involved. Just stand from a distance and say, "Wow, that's a lot of sadness. I'm just going to go ahead and let it be sad, let it be there, let it come up, and then it's going to pass instead of go back down. Because when you try and change it or fix it, that's when it goes back down into the body and it stays there."
Yeah. So you were really getting into, we talked this accepting and allowing of whatever is coming up, even your symptoms, right? It's okay to be here. Like you weren't pushing anything down or pushing anything away at this point. You weren't trying to stop it, right? You're allowing it just to kind of flow. If it came, right? And you just kind of worked with it in a very good way, right? Whether it was a symptom or an emotion or a thought, right? You kind of were working with it in this new way.
Yes, exactly. And I just, and it's once again another practice because when emotions come up, we react to them. We don't respond to them. We react to them. We don't listen. We don't want to see them. We don't want to hear them. We just, unless it's a good emotion, right? Then we want to keep it. We want to keep it all
Yeah.
bottled up inside. And
Grasping onto, yeah.
yeah,
So it's a balance, and I know we could talk for probably hours about this because it's an amazing story. But I want you to wrap it up in a minute. So you've come from all these symptoms, over 45 and more. Where are you right now? What are you doing now? How are you feeling nowadays?
amazing. I feel, I'm honestly the best I've ever been in my entire life. Um, I think the most monumental moment for me is when my children and my husband came to me and said, "Mom, we don't even recognize you anymore. You're a whole new person." And when you have your at the time my 7-year-old and my 9-year-old were telling me this. And that's huge because when you have somebody that close to you see that you are a whole new person, that you are just like the calm, you're the collect, you're the one in control, you're the one that you're the influence that they want to be around and the energy they want to be around. Um, that to me was the best award I could ever get. And today I have no symptoms, they're gone. Everything just completely healed. um, I definitely rode the roller coaster of up and down, all the slip ups, or I'm not sure what you call it, Jim, the setbacks, slip
Yeah, I call
ups,
them up. I like to call them upticks, not
upticks,
setbacks. Yeah,
upticks. There we go.
yeah,
I definitely had a roller coaster of those, and I'm human. I get emotions. I have symptoms from time to time, but man, I can shut them off in a matter of seconds. It's so easy because when you learn this new language of the mind and the body, because it is learning a new language, it's completely reprogramming a new system, then you have the ability to just press a button and it's out the door. And so um today I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful that I'm healed and I feel free. I feel I'm just at the peak of my career. My marriage is amazing. My children are being parented in ways that I never could have dreamed of because I didn't have the ability to give them that type of parenting. And yeah, I feel awesome. It's
yeah.
great.
And you look happy. You look the part too, right? You're a different person, and so this story is gonna be really inspirational for people, and they're gonna really take a lot from it. I think that you can come out of all this. You went to the bottom of the ocean, and you came back up and flew out of the water, and now you're living your life. But your story is that you had to do some work and practice, and you had to shift your brain, and it shows, right? You had to do some stuff for a period of time, but it's proof.
Mhm.
You're living proof that you can get out of all this stuff without all the other crap that you were doing. None of that worked. Now here you
Mhm.
are, a new version of yourself by going inside yourself, like you said, and working on the inside out. So it's such a powerful story. It really is. And
Thanks,
uh,
Jim.
I thank you for sharing it. And hopefully people will take a lot from it. And I know where you have to go because of time, but Any last parting words for people who are working through this still?
I would I would just say that this is such a journey. Don't give up, don't lose hope, don't fall back on this isn't for me. I'm never gonna heal. I'm broken because there's no one too old, too young, too far along in their pain to not be able to heal. Every single person is worthy of this type of healing and has the ability to do it. It's free. And it is the best experience that you will ever experience in your life. And I just encourage every single one of you to to know that not only is this something that will heal you, but it will change your life forever. It will make you the best person that you will ever be. And things are going to happen in your life that you never even knew would be possible. And if anyone wants to reach out to me or wants to just pick my brain on something, I'm available. I make myself available to anyone who is struggling and because I know how hard it is and to just be able to talk to somebody who's been through it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. We'll have that there if you want in some way that people can get hold of you if they want. And again, thank you so much, Brittany, for sharing the story. It's such a powerful one. And yeah, thanks again for being here today. We'll see you
Thanks
later.
so much.